My first musical memory was, I think I was maybe 5, and my parents had a lot of classical music at home. We had LPs back then, and I heard Menuhin play with Furtwängler, and I was so transfixed by the violin that actually for my 5th birthday I wanted to have violin lessons because I thought the sound of this instrument is magical. So then with 5 I started to play the piano first, and half a year later the violin. And half a year later, so about for my 6th birthday, I won my first competition, and I'm passionate about the violin ever since. All wonderful violins, a Strat from 1710 and also another one from 1703, and also quite a collection of different bows. And I would say that I would choose a different bow for different repertoire, like a lighter, more elegant bow for Mozart, and a bow which was more oomph, more like a race car, bow for Sibelius and Brahms. When it comes to violins, I'm actually, for the last 35 years, always playing on the same Strat from 1710, because this violin, it's like a wish box, you just have to find the right approach to the instrument, and then it will give you everything you want. So before each concert, of course, we have a rehearsal. Like now we are on tour, the Chamber Orchestra Vienna Berlin, for 21 concerts in something like 24 days. And we have every evening, obviously, a rehearsal in the venue, because the acoustic of the hall very much influences how you play. Because if the acoustic would be very generous, like a lot of after ring, you would use probably slightly slower tempi, otherwise it gets all, very messy. And if it's a very dry hall, like an opera house, you kind of speed up the music a little so the flow is more genuine and generous. But when it comes to music, really is always a work in progress. I do not believe in dogmatic thinking that there is one right way to play a piece, because we know from comments about Mozart's style of playing, or Beethoven's style of playing, or any great composer who also performed his own pieces, that they were very variant in their approach to their own pieces. So I think it's important to always try out new musical ideas. So that's why rehearsals is also very important. That, of course, is a really difficult question. It very much depends in which mood I am. I like John Legend a lot. I also like Michael Jackson. But I love Bach and Beethoven, and I love jazz. So really, I think the great thing in being a musician is that you remember so much music in your head that actually you do not need to have a tool to play the music for you, like a phone or a recorder, but you can just play it from memory in your head. But probably if it would have been a physical piece of music outside of my head, it would be something by Bach, because Bach is always so elevating, and I always feel so much better when I listen to Bach or play Bach. Through the years playing music, that's really a difficult one, because obviously one cannot be objective, and I really don't know what to say other than, of course, the more contemporary music you play, the more things you do outside of your comfort zone, and there's a lot of stuff outside of my comfort zone, the more you grow. And I've always been interested in doing things I was initially afraid of, and I was sure would give me trouble, and I would feel horrible for a while and insufficient. But then if you conquer that and you find that actually the sky is the limit also when it comes to your intellectual capacity and your technical abilities and your imagination. Imagination is really important. I think it was Einstein who said imagination is even more important than knowledge. Meaning that without imagination, knowledge is useless, because you would not be curious enough to look for different solutions. So when it comes to evolution, I think it's trying to think outside of the box and being a more in-depth musician, knowing scores better, because I have done so much different repertoire. And now I'm into film music. John Williams, the greatest film composers of them all, who has written Star Wars and E.T. and Harry Potter. He has rewritten about 15 of his most prominent, most popular film themes. And we have recorded that, so this is something really outside of my comfort zone, but but a project I dearly love because I grew up with this music. So I'm always trying to find new ways to express music, and particularly also new ways of expressing music and reaching an audience which might not be so interested in classical music but just loves music in total. And in a way, you know, film music is the modern music, modern classical music of our times, and it seems to be sometimes underappreciated. And working with such a really an icon like John Williams is a great moment in my life, and I hope I can share that with my fans. My first open air concert ever on the 13th of September this year in Munich. The program of tonight is essentially 3 violin concerti by Mozart and a very early symphony of his. He wrote when he was 8. Actually, he wrote the symphony when I think he was traveling to England and his father was very ill, and the father said, you know, stop practicing, I just need quiet. And then Wolfgang Amadeus decided he's going to write a little symphony. So the violin concerti, we know he was a very young man, probably 17 to 18, and he wrote them in a period of 5 months. And the development from the early one, which is Köchel 211, to the latest one, which is Köchel 219, the A major, is incredible. And I'm really excited to show that kind of compositorial development from a very elegant but kind of Haydnesque piece to a full-size, full-fledged Mozart violin concerto a few months later. I mean, the progress this genius has made in his oeuvre is just amazing, even within a time frame of 5 months. So you have elegance, you have wit. It's music which is very strongly connected into dialogue, you know. When I play with this wonderful chamber orchestra, 70 fabulous players, it is very much like making chamber music. It's like a conversation between friends, and having not a conductor is actually great. It's very liberating. So everybody feels much more, how should I say, responsible for the musical outcome, and it just frees us, and it's a great, great joy really to play these pieces. I hope the audience is going to enjoy it. And now I have to go to the Picasso Museum.